Well, hi there, everybody. Good morning to meteorologist Travis Klineski here on this Thursday morning. Almost all of us under a winter weather advisory for today. Most of this is going to be for ice, where we're going to be looking at some freezing drizzle and very light freezing rain today that could leave a little glaze of ice throughout much of the area by later today. Most of it hasn't amounted to much yet, but in southern areas we've started to see some of that freezing drizzle. Up north, though, there may actually be some accumulating snow in these locations here. So let's take you through the day. And the storm system has looked a little less impressive than previous forecasts, and it's not going to pack as much of a punch. That said, when it comes to things like drizzle, freezing drizzle, it doesn't take much. So we're going to still see some today. It's just that we may not see the heavier freezing rain today. But most of us will see some of that light glaze of ice by later this morning into this afternoon. Maybe warming up enough that it could be liquid in the far southeast, and then here we could be talking more light snow to the north and northwest here. In fact, this is your best chance of accumulating snow in northern Nebraska. The rain and freezing rain move to the east in the afternoon. Maybe still some drizzle and fog around the Tri-Cities area, but we likely won't see a lot of precipitation by 5 o'clock. Overnight, still some lingering snow north of the interstate through about midnight or so, and then that will clear out of here later on tonight. Maybe some patchy fog though overnight into early tomorrow morning for a few folks. Tomorrow looks quieter out there, kind of a mix of clouds and sun. Should be a little bit warmer for most of us, probably a little colder in the east where there could be some fog that lingers much of the day. And then tomorrow night, still some fog in the east of Highway 281 here with clear skies elsewhere, as we should end out seeing quite a bit of sunshine heading into our Saturday. Our weekend actually looks pretty good. So ice amounts will not be nearly as impressive as previously expected. We're probably, most of us are only going to see a couple of hundredths of an inch of ice, but that's still enough to cause problems out there. So I do want to emphasize, while the ice won't be as thick, even just a little tiny little bit of ice can make for some very, very slick road conditions. And I do expect by later this morning that ice will be covering much of the area. Snowfall amounts also looking very low, mainly up into the north and northeast, although some recent models are starting to hint at maybe these areas picking up 1, 2, 3 inches of snow here, but otherwise most of the snow is going to be off towards the northeast, 1, 2, maybe 3 inches of snow there. Well, temperatures for today will be cold. In fact, I would not be surprised if many of us stay in the 20s all day long here. It may be a struggle to warm up here. And with those below freezing temperatures, we could be looking at some very slick conditions for much of the day. Those areas that get above freezing, that ice is going to melt. Temperatures out there tonight dropping back into the teens and 20s for overnight lows. Tomorrow's temperatures, we're looking at 40s for many of us, but maybe some 30s off to the northeast, some low 50s to the southwest. As for tomorrow night, 20s for the most part, low and mid 20s for overnight lows. And then jumping ahead to our Saturday, we're going to be looking at 40s and lower 50s for highs. Before we get to that 7-day forecast, I got to talk to my directors real quick. Whoever's in Lincoln directing right now, go ahead and skip this weather forecast for now. Just stick with the national broadcast, please. All right, so looking at things for the rest of the forecast, things will actually get even more interesting down the road. So again, today I want to emphasize, while we will not see nearly as much ice as previously expected, it's only going to take a little bit to cause some slick road conditions. Keep in mind, there are school closings and late starts across the area today, and I would not be surprised if some of those change from late starts to just overall closings today. Quiet weather Friday, Saturday, and most of Sunday. A little breezier on Sunday and a few more clouds, but highs will get up to around 50 over the weekend. And then next week, a more powerful storm system could mean business. More wind with that system and a lot of moisture, which is excellent news for us. Excellent. We could see a lot of moisture. First rain and thunderstorms Monday and Monday night. And then Tuesday could be a transitional day. While Tuesday we could also see a bit of a dry slot work its way in, so not as good of a chance of moisture. If there is moisture, it could transition over from rain to the wintry stuff. And then more snow than anything by Wednesday with the colder weather and maybe some wind to blow that around. And it should clear out sometime around Wednesday night, Thursday. We'll see how that plays out. But it does look like we will trend colder for the rest of next week then. So after a couple of nicer days, it will be colder for the second half of next week. I do want to show you a couple of long-range models here real quick before we wrap things up. Here's the European forecast model. And I apologize, I'm fighting a cold, so it is kind of tough for me to speak this morning here. Here's today, again, there's the ice, the snow, the rain, the sleet, all that. This model's a little more impressive still than some of the other models here. Then quieter weather for a few days. Maybe rain to our southeast Friday night and Saturday morning there. But the weekend looks pretty quiet for the most part. But then here comes, look at Monday here. Monday, rain develops, and this will be rain and thunderstorms, and this would be a nice soaker. Would that not be awesome? Monday into Monday night. to get some really beneficial moisture. Heavy snows off to the west, and the winds start to crank up as the storm. The storm will be strengthening Monday into Tuesday, so the wind will start to crank up. Tuesday, possibly that dry slot there as the rain starts to shift to the east. Low pressure sitting over the sandhills. Now, this is one model's perspective, though. And then snow wrapping around to the north and to the west of the system, and then eventually that snow works in on the backside. A lot of wind and snow Wednesday, and then clearing out. This model has some of it lasting into Thursday here before clearing out for the end of next week. So that's the European. Keep in mind we're still several days out. This can still change. Now here's today according to the GFS. Right there. Not a whole lot of moisture. And then quiet for the weekend with a little rain off to our southeast. It's Friday night into Saturday. Quiet for us. And then look at Monday. Here it comes. The rain, the thunderstorms. Could be a whole lot of fun there to get some nice moisture. The snow out west. Now, we'll also talk about Tuesday real quick. I want to mention something with Tuesday real quick. Look off towards Missouri and then southward from there. There could actually be a bit of a severe weather outbreak for parts of the mid-Mississippi to southern Mississippi River Valley. So this is a very powerful storm system. Meanwhile, on our end of things, again, there's the dry slot for us before eventually maybe a transition to the wintry precipitation, mainly snow, as we get towards Wednesday. And some of this might even linger into Thursday before it clears out. This model actually keeps some around into Friday, so we'll see. So things will turn very, very interesting most of next week here, even compared to the system we're seeing today. But again, I do want to emphasize with today's system that ice is the biggest concern. And while, yeah, it may be a little less impressive than previously expected, I do expect most areas to still have some sort of a glaze of ice as the day goes on, especially by later this morning into this afternoon for much of the area. So be very careful on the roadways out there for today. Otherwise, I'll be back with you tomorrow morning to wrap up the week and talk about some nice weather for the weekend. Hope you all have a wonderful day and stay safe out there on the roads if you happen to be out and about for it today. We'll talk to you all again tomorrow. Bye.